A few years ago, most riders would have laughed at the idea of buying a motorcycle without a clutch. But now, some of the most popular touring bikes, commuters, and even performance machines in 2026 are going automatic. So in this video, we're going through every major DCT and automatic motorcycle you can actually buy right now, how these systems feel in real riding, which ones are great in traffic, which ones still feel weird, and which bikes honestly make the most sense depending on how you ride. And a couple of these surprised me way more than I expected. Before comparing the motorcycles themselves, there's something far more important riders need to understand first. Not every automatic motorcycle behaves the same once the wheels begin moving. In fact, some systems barely feel automatic at all. That confusion sits at the center of almost every debate surrounding clutchless motorcycles today, because these machines are not all chasing the same goal. Some systems are engineered to eliminate fatigue during endless stop-and-go commuting. Others pursue sharper acceleration and faster shifting than most riders could achieve manually. And a few attempt something far more complicated, preserving the mechanical sensation of traditional motorcycling while quietly removing the parts many riders eventually grow tired of managing. The strange part is how unfamiliar these systems feel during the first few miles. Riders instinctively reach for a clutch lever that no longer exists. Some tense up during slow parking, lot maneuvers because the motorcycle feels almost unnaturally smooth. Others subconsciously expect the engine to stall at intersections, but it never does. For a brief period, your instincts and the motorcycle stop speaking the same language. Then gradually, the behavior begins making sense. CVT systems prioritize simplicity above everything else, twist the throttle, and move forward with almost effortless consistency. Honda's DCT systems approach the experience differently, combining true-geared performance with remarkably refined automatic behavior that still feels stable and connected at highway speeds. Meanwhile, newer systems like Yamaha's Y-AMT attempt to preserve a more performance-oriented character while electronically managing much of the workload behind the scenes. If this is your kind of motorcycle content, drop a quick hype in the comments and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep putting together detailed guides like this, especially with how fast motorcycle tech is changing right now. The argument surrounding automatic motorcycles has never been purely mechanical. Beneath the technology, something far more personal is happening. For many riders, shifting gears manually is deeply connected to the identity of motorcycling itself. The timing of a smooth downshift, the coordination between clutch and throttle, the satisfaction of executing every movement correctly. Those moments create a sense of involvement that many riders genuinely treasure. Riding feels earned, physical, intentional, which is exactly why automatic motorcycles created so much resistance in the beginning. Some systems truly can feel more distant from the machine beneath you. Certain transmissions smooth out the riding experience so heavily that experienced riders sometimes miss the rawness traditional motorcycles naturally deliver. Added electronics also introduce additional complexity, more weight, higher purchase prices, and repairs that can become far less straightforward once the warranty disappears. And for riders who sincerely enjoy mastering manual technique, no automated system completely replaces the emotional satisfaction of doing the work yourself. But modern riding conditions have changed in ways many riders never expected. Traffic has become relentless. Commutes stretch longer every year. Endless stoplights, crawling congestion, steep parking garages, and constant clutch work slowly transform enjoyable riding into physical exhaustion. After enough years, even highly experienced riders begin noticing the strain. Hands cramp, knees stiffen, wrists fatigue, and eventually, convenience stops feeling like weakness and starts feeling practical. That is where clutchless motorcycles begin reshaping opinions. Low-speed riding becomes calmer. Passenger comfort improves because gear transitions feel smoother and less abrupt. Long-distance touring demands less physical effort, hour after hour. Newer riders gain confidence faster because they can focus on braking, balance, traffic flow, and corner awareness instead of panicking about stalling at intersections. And that is why this debate continues dividing riders so sharply. Now we want to hear from you. Have you actually ridden a DCT or automatic motorcycle before? Or are you still completely loyal to manual shifting? And more importantly, did the experience surprise you once you tried it in real traffic or on longer rides? Leave your thoughts down in the comments because rider experience matters here more than spec sheets ever will. especially with motorcycles this divisive. For some, true control means operating every mechanical input manually. For others, control means removing distractions and becoming more mentally present during the ride itself. Neither perspective is entirely wrong. But among all the systems attempting to balance those philosophies, one technology continues standing above the rest in maturity, trust, and real-world refinement: Honda's DCT. If one technology completely transformed how riders think about automatic motorcycles, it was Honda's DCT, because Honda understood something many early clutchless systems failed to recognize. Riders were not simply protecting a clutch lever, they were protecting the emotional character of motorcycling itself. So instead of building a machine that merely simplified riding, Honda approached the challenge from a completely different direction. How do you reduce fatigue without making the motorcycle feel numb? How do you automate shifting out without removing the sensation of control that riders spent years learning to love? That philosophy shaped the entire system. DCT, short for dual clutch transmission, uses two independent clutches working simultaneously. One manages odd-numbered gears, while the other prepares the even-numbered gears in advance. The result is a transmission capable of shifting with remarkable smoothness, because the next gear is already waiting before the rider even notices the transition happening. But the engineering alone is not what made riders trust it. The real breakthrough appears in everyday riding. In dense traffic, DCT immediately removes one of the most exhausting parts of motorcycling. No repetitive clutch work, no awkward, low-speed balancing between throttle and friction zone. The motorcycle moves forward with calm predictability that quickly begins feeling natural rather than unfamiliar. Then, once the highway opens ahead, the personality evolves again. The transmission settles into long-distance cruising with an almost effortless refinement that keeps the engine relaxed while preserving the connected sensation traditional riders still expect from real gears. That balance is what separates Honda's system from nearly everything else. It can behave like a comfortable touring automatic one moment, then deliver direct paddle-controlled shifting the next. Softer riding modes prioritize smoothness and fuel efficiency, while more aggressive settings hold gears longer and respond with far sharper urgency. And after years of cross-country touring, daily commuting, and adventure riding, DCT earned something automatic motorcycles rarely possessed before: credibility, which makes the next motorcycle almost impossible to ignore. Because few machines reveal the strengths of DCT more clearly than Honda's long-distance flagship, the Goldwing DCT. If Honda's DCT technology exists to reduce fatigue, the Goldwing is the motorcycle that reveals its ultimate purpose with almost frightening clarity. Because nothing about this machine is built around urgency. The Goldwing was engineered for endurance, isolation, and the strange sensation of watching enormous distances disappear without the rider feeling physically drained afterward. And on a motorcycle this substantial, the transmission changes everything. At low speeds, the Goldwing immediately commands respect. Its physical size alone can intimidate riders the first time they maneuver it through parking lots or dense traffic. Yet the DCT system softens that experience in ways many riders do not fully understand until they spend time with it. Instead of constantly managing clutch friction and throttle balance, the motorcycle glides forward with remarkable smoothness. Slow-speed turns become calmer, traffic feels less demanding, and gradually the rider stops focusing on controlling the machine and starts settling into the journey itself. Then the highway opens, and suddenly the Goldwing transforms into something closer to luxury transportation than traditional motorcycling. The DCT transmission shifts so seamlessly that gear changes almost disappear beneath the ride. Wind protection isolates fatigue from the rider's chest and shoulders. The flat-six engine hums with an effortless smoothness that feels nearly endless at interstate speeds. Even passengers notice the difference, because the absence of abrupt shifting creates a calmer, more stable experience over long distances. Everything surrounding the motorcycle reinforces that same philosophy. Large integrated luggage compartments, electronic suspension, heated seating, cruise control, premium infotainment systems, navigation, and advanced touring electronics push the Goldwing deep into luxury territory. This is a motorcycle designed for riders who think in terms of entire states rather than afternoon rides. Of course, that refinement comes with compromises. The Goldwing remains physically enormous, undeniably expensive, and heavily specialized toward paved touring. New DCT models sit firmly in premium pricing territory, while used examples continue holding value because demand remains consistently strong among long-distance riders. But for riders pursuing comfort above all else, few motorcycles feel this complete. Yet eventually, some riders begin searching for roads that no longer remain paved. And that is exactly where Honda pointed DCT toward a far more unpredictable world, the Africa Twin. Now for the touring riders watching this, would you actually want a fully automatic transmission on a long trip? Or is shifting gears still part of the experience for you? Let me know in the comments because riders seem really divided on this once the miles start adding up. The Africa Twin DCT may be the motorcycle that finally forced skeptical riders to reconsider what automatic technology could actually accomplish. Because highway touring is one thing, comfort is one thing, but adventure riders tend to trust simplicity above almost everything else. Once pavement disappears and the terrain becomes unpredictable, riders want direct control, mechanical honesty, and behavior they can rely on without hesitation, which made the Africa Twin an enormously important test for Honda. This motorcycle was never designed for relaxed boulevard cruising. It was built for uncertainty, loose gravel roads, muddy climbs, rocky descents, deep ruts, and long stretches of wilderness where rider confidence matters far more than convenience features. In those environments, mistakes become expensive very quickly. And surprisingly, DCT performs remarkably well there. At slow speed, the system removes one of the most mentally exhausting parts of technical riding, constant clutch management. Instead of balancing throttle, traction, body position, and clutch modulation. Simultaneously, the rider can focus more attention on terrain reading and momentum control. The motorcycle continues moving smoothly without sudden stalls, which becomes especially valuable during steep climbs, uneven surfaces, or awkward, low-speed maneuvers. For less experienced adventure riders, that reduction in stress can dramatically improve confidence. The transmission also behaves differently depending on riding modes and throttle input, allowing the Africa Twin to feel calmer and more controlled on loose surfaces than many riders initially expect. And importantly, Honda still includes manual override through handlebar controls, giving riders direct gear selection whenever conditions become more technical or precise traction control matters more deeply. The compromises still exist. Some experienced off-road riders miss the instant clutch manipulation traditional dirt-oriented riding techniques rely on. The DCT version also adds extra weight, which absolutely becomes noticeable once the motorcycle tips over on difficult terrain. But over long distances, the advantages become increasingly difficult to dismiss. The Africa Twin transitions effortlessly between highway touring and remote exploration while reducing fatigue hour after hour. New DCT models occupy premium adventure bike pricing territory in the United States, while used examples continue holding value exceptionally well thanks to strong demand and Honda's reliability reputation. The Africa Twin proved automatic motorcycles could survive genuine adventure riding. But eventually Honda realized something else entirely. Not every rider wanted to travel across continents to appreciate DCT. And that demand for something lower, simpler, and more approachable eventually pushed Honda toward a very different kind of DCT motorcycle, the Rebel 1100 DCT. The Honda Rebel 1100 DCT is where automatic motorcycle technology finally stops feeling like a futuristic novelty and starts feeling completely ordinary in the best possible way. Unlike the Goldwing or Africa Twin, this motorcycle is not designed around crossing entire regions or disappearing into remote backcountry trails. Its purpose is far more grounded, easy ownership, relaxed travel. A motorcycle that removes unnecessary friction from everyday riding. And that mission fits the DCT system almost perfectly. Cruiser riders often pursue a different kind of satisfaction than riders focused on outright performance. The experience is less about aggression and far more about rhythm. Long traffic lights, slow evening rides, quiet highways after sunset. The Rebel understands that atmosphere immediately. The low seating position creates an instant sense of control, especially for newer riders or those returning to motorcycling after years away. At slower speeds, the motorcycle feels planted rather than cumbersome, helping riders settle into traffic without tension. Then the transmission quietly removes another common source of stress. No stalling in crowded intersections. No awkward clutch work creeping uphill. No constant hand fatigue during stop-and-go commuting. Around town, the DCT behaves with a remarkable polish. The motorcycle glides through urban traffic with a calmness that suits its cruiser character beautifully. Yet the Rebel still carries enough strength for steady highway travel, with smooth gear changes that make longer rides feel surprisingly effortless. New Rebel 1100 DCT models generally land in the low to mid-teens depending on trim level, while used examples from recent years have started becoming noticeably more attainable across the American market. But the Rebel's greatest strength may not be convenience alone. It quietly proves that modern automatic motorcycles do not need massive size or intimidating complexity to feel genuinely rewarding. And that same philosophy of simplicity eventually evolved into something even more practical: the Honda NC 750X DCT. The Honda NC 750X DCT may be the clearest example of why automatic motorcycles are becoming genuinely important. Not because it feels exotic or futuristic, but because it understands the reality of everyday riding better than almost anything else in Honda's lineup. There is no oversized luxury image here, no aggressive superbike attitude, no attempt to imitate a rally machine crossing distant deserts. The NC 750X is built around ordinary life, and strangely enough, that makes it one of the smartest motorcycles in this entire category. Over time, many riders begin realizing that daily motorcycling asks very different things from a machine than weekend fantasy does. Morning traffic, grocery runs, fuel costs, long commutes after exhausting workdays. Those experiences gradually reshape what riders actually value, and Honda engineered this motorcycle around exactly those moments. The DCT transmission feels beautifully suited to the NC's personality. In crowded urban traffic, low-speed movement remains controlled and remarkably easy to manage, instead of constantly balancing clutch engagement. During stop-and-go congestion, the rider simply rolls forward smoothly and focuses on surrounding traffic conditions. The motorcycle itself also feels intentionally uncomplicated. The upright seating position creates excellent visibility in traffic, while the integrated front storage compartment quietly becomes one of the most useful features owners mention repeatedly. Combined with excellent fuel economy, modest maintenance costs, and Honda's long-standing reliability reputation, the NC slowly stops feeling like a recreational toy and starts feeling like dependable transportation. New models typically remain far more affordable than larger DCT motorcycles, while used examples are widely available throughout the United States at very approachable prices. But eventually, some riders begin wanting something less practical and more emotionally aggressive. And that search for sharper character leads directly toward Yamaha's very different answer to clutchless performance: Y-AMT. If Honda developed DCT systems to make motorcycles feel calmer and easier to manage, Yamaha approached the same problem from a completely different direction. The company wanted to know whether a clutchless motorcycle could still feel aggressive, reactive, and emotionally alive. That question shaped the entire personality of Yamaha's Y-AMT system. Short for Yamaha Automated Manual Transmission, the design operates differently from Honda's dual-clutch setup. Instead of using separate clutches working invisibly in the background, Yamaha electronically manages clutch operation and shifting while preserving much of the sensation of a traditional gearbox underneath. And the difference becomes obvious almost immediately. The transmission feels sharper, more urgent, more mechanically connected to rider input. Where Honda systems often prioritize refinement and isolation, Yamaha's calibration keeps the rider constantly aware of what the motorcycle is doing. Upshifts arrive with crisp immediacy. Downshifts feel more assertive during deceleration. Hard acceleration creates a stronger sense of involvement, rather than softening the experience for comfort alone. For many riders, that instantly feels more exciting. The electronic shift controls reinforce that philosophy beautifully. Riders can trigger gear changes directly from the handlebars without touching a clutch lever, creating an experience that feels surprisingly close to a modern quick shifter system. Instead of removing engagement, Yamaha tries preserving the emotional intensity many performance-oriented riders still crave. That sharper character does create compromises. During slower city riding, Y-AMT can occasionally feel more abrupt than Honda's smoother DCT behavior, especially in crawling traffic conditions. But Yamaha's target audience often interprets that extra mechanical presence as personality rather than inconvenience. New Yamaha Y-AMT motorcycles currently remain limited but fully available within the United States market, with pricing generally positioned near premium middleweight performance motorcycles. And as Yamaha expands the technology further, One motorcycle already demonstrates exactly where this philosophy becomes most exciting: the MT-09Y-AMT. The Yamaha MT-09Y-AMT completely destroys the old assumption that automatic motorcycles must feel soft, distant, or emotionally muted. This machine feels restless, tense, almost impatient beneath the rider, and Yamaha intentionally preserved that personality. Long before automated shifting arrived, the MT-09 had already built a reputation for raw character. The compact chassis, upright riding position, explosive triple-cylinder engine, and hyper-responsive throttle created a motorcycle that always felt slightly unpredictable in the most entertaining way possible. The real challenge was introducing clutchless technology without removing that chaos. Surprisingly, Yamaha managed exactly that. The Y-AMT system does not attempt to calm the motorcycle down for the sake of refinement alone. Instead, the transmission intensifies the sensation of acceleration. Gear changes arrive with sharp precision, while rapid downshifts keep the engine constantly ready to surge forward again. Without the distraction of clutch operation during aggressive riding, the motorcycle often feels even more immediate once the rider adapts to the system. And the engine plays a massive role in that experience. The CP3 power plant delivers muscular acceleration throughout the middle of the rev range, creating a relentless wave of forward momentum that feels thrilling almost everywhere on the tachometer. Of course, that aggression comes with compromises. Slower urban riding can occasionally feel abrupt, especially for less experienced riders. The motorcycle never fully disguises its performance-first attitude beneath comfort-focused programming. New MT-09 Y-AMT models currently sit within premium middleweight pricing territory in the United States market, while used availability remains limited as the technology continues expanding. But the motorcycle's real significance goes beyond performance alone. It proves clutchless systems can preserve intensity rather than dilute it, and eventually, that same technology may begin influencing motorcycles far beyond the naked bike category itself. So far, we've covered luxury touring bikes, sporty machines, and now motorcycles that are built more around daily life and practicality. So which one makes the most sense to you so far? Drop it in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to like the video. It helps a ton with videos like this. For years, automatic motorcycles were treated like a compromise. Many riders assumed they existed mainly for beginners, commuters, or people unwilling to learn traditional clutch control. But systems like Yamaha's Y-AMT are rapidly changing that perception. Because once automated shifting becomes genuinely responsive, the conversation changes completely. Riders stop asking whether clutchless motorcycles can work. Instead, they begin comparing which system actually feels the most satisfying to ride. That shift is transforming the entire industry. Manufacturers now understand that automation is no longer limited to convenience alone. In crowded cities, removing clutch fatigue makes commuting dramatically easier. Long traffic jams become less physically draining, especially for riders spending hours navigating urban congestion every week. For newer riders, these systems also remove one of the biggest psychological barriers preventing people from entering motorcycling in the first place. But the larger opportunity may ultimately exist in touring and performance categories. Long-distance riders already value reduced fatigue, electronic rider aids, and smoother highway behavior. Performance riders still want aggressive responses and emotional intensity. Modern automated systems are now trying to deliver both simultaneously without making the motorcycle feel emotionally disconnected from the rider underneath. And that challenge has quietly created a technological competition across the motorcycle industry itself. Because riders are no longer debating whether automatic motorcycles belong in the future. The real question now is which manufacturer understands the experience best, and that pressure brings another company directly into focus: Kawasaki. If Honda represents maturity and Yamaha represents aggression, Kawasaki feels like something entirely different. Less traditional, more experimental, almost like a preview of where the motorcycle industry may eventually head once electronics and automation become deeply intertwined with everyday riding. And that creates mixed reactions immediately. Some riders feel fascinated, others feel deeply uncertain. Because Kawasaki is not simply experimenting with automatic shifting systems. The company is exploring how motorcycles themselves may evolve once hybrid technology, software management, electronic rider assistance, and automated controls begin operating together as one integrated experience. Motorcycles like the Ninja 7 Hybrid and Z7 Hybrid already feel dramatically different from conventional machines. At lower speeds, the riding experience becomes surprisingly quiet and controlled, almost resembling electric transportation more than traditional gasoline-powered motorcycles. Launches feel smooth and immediate, while the hybrid system delivers strong, low-end acceleration that works exceptionally well in crowded urban traffic. But Kawasaki's approach also introduces a completely different conversation: long-term complexity. Traditional motorcycles earned loyalty partly because riders understood them mechanically. The relationship felt direct, transparent, predictable. Kawasaki's newer systems move away from that simplicity and toward layered electronics working invisibly beneath a rider. Combustion engines now interact with battery systems, regenerative functions, automated shifting behavior, and multiple riding modes simultaneously. For some riders, that sounds excitingly futuristic. For others, it feels intimidating. There is no denying how advanced these motorcycles feel during real-world riding. Highway cruising remains smooth. Transitions between power systems happen quickly, and the automatic functionality dramatically reduces stress during dense traffic conditions. But ownership questions naturally follow. Riders begin wondering what maintenance, reliability, and repair costs may look like years down the road once these systems age. Pricing reflects that uncertainty as well. New hybrid Kawasaki models currently occupy premium territory within the American market, while used availability remains extremely limited due to how recently these motorcycles arrived. And perhaps that is Kawasaki's real purpose right now. Not necessarily to normalize automatic motorcycles first, but to push the boundaries of what motorcycles may eventually become once technology fully reshapes the riding experience itself. Yet while Kawasaki explores the future through experimentation, another manufacturer approaches automation from an entirely different perspective: refinement, luxury, and long-distance comfort. And that brings the story directly toward BMW. Unlike Kawasaki's vision of tomorrow, BMW approaches the same conversation from an entirely different position: less experimental, more quietly perfected. Because for decades, BMW has pursued a remarkably consistent ambition: helping riders travel farther while arriving less exhausted than they expected. And once automated shifting or clutch assistance enters that world, the motorcycle begins to feel strangely invisible beneath you. Not absent, just cooperative. On BMW touring and long-distance machines, technology rarely interrupts the ride. That restraint is intentional. Electronic rider assistance, adaptive suspension behavior, integrated ride settings, heated comfort systems, navigation support, cruise functionality, and automated shifting all blend together with one objective: making enormous distances feel psychologically smaller. At highway pace, the effect becomes unmistakable. Wind management softens fatigue. The motorcycle settles into a calm rhythm. Hours begin slipping past with surprising ease, and what first looked physically demanding gradually feels approachable. Even slow-speed manners reflect that same thinking. Machines that appear intimidating in a parking lot often feel unexpectedly composed once rolling. Of course, comfort introduces compromise. Complexity rises. Ownership costs become heavier. Premium BMW touring motorcycles equipped with advanced automation are sold in the American market, but new pricing often stretches from roughly $20,000 to well beyond $30,000, while used examples can still command serious money depending on condition and equipment. Yet for riders chasing endurance, reassurance, and cross-country comfort, BMW feels deeply persuasive. Still, BMW quietly exposes a larger truth. Not everyone dreams about crossing entire states in luxury. Sometimes survival in everyday traffic matters far more. And that changes the conversation completely. Long before premium touring motorcycles experimented with automated shifting, electronic clutch systems, or futuristic rider assistance, automatic riding had already solved a far simpler problem in a far less glamorous place: the daily commute. Because for millions of riders across crowded cities, scooters quietly answered the automatic motorcycle question years ago. Not through spectacle, not through performance, but through convenience so practical it eventually became difficult to ignore. At the center of that simplicity sits the continuously variable transmission. Unlike systems that imitate shifting patterns or automate gear changes, scooter transmissions deliver motion without interruption. No clutch timing, no learning curve, and no repeated shifting during stoplights and slow traffic. Twist the throttle, and movement feels immediate. That changes everyday riding in ways many enthusiasts underestimate. Most commuters spend more time squeezing through congestion, balancing at intersections, running errands, and navigating crowded parking lots than chasing speed on open pavement. Eventually, priorities begin to change. Excitement matters less, mental effort matters less. Reducing daily frustration begins to matter more. That is exactly where scooters quietly shine. Step-through layouts feel welcoming. Lower seat heights help nervous riders settle quickly. Under-seat storage adds usefulness. Traditional motorcycles rarely match. Fuel costs stay manageable, maintenance remains approachable, and in the American market, many scooter-style automatics remain widely available at reasonable prices. New models often begin around only a few $1,000, while the used market offers countless affordable options for budget-conscious riders. Of course, compromise still exists. Smaller scooters rarely love endless highway miles, wind protection varies, and long-distance comfort usually falls behind larger motorcycles. Still, scooters reveal something important. Sometimes the motorcycle is not the adventure. Sometimes it is simply what makes everyday life easier. And once every category begins offering clutchless choices, one uncomfortable question quietly appears. Which automatic motorcycle actually belongs in your life? The farther a rider travels, the more dramatically priorities begin to change. At first, speed feels exciting. Strong acceleration feels satisfying. Sharp handling feels like proof that a motorcycle is truly special. But somewhere after long hours in the saddle, another reality quietly begins taking over. Wind pressure starts draining energy. Repeated clutch work slowly wears on wrists and shoulders. Stop and go. Traffic becomes mentally exhausting. Passenger comfort suddenly influences every decision, and without warning, smoothness begins to matter more than adrenaline. That shift explains why automatic touring motorcycles feel so convincing. Machines like the Honda Goldwing DCT transform long-distance riding because they quietly remove dozens of tiny physical annoyances that gradually become exhausting over time. The transmission fades into the background so naturally that many riders eventually stop noticing it altogether. That is the hidden luxury, not drama, mental stillness. Cruise systems reduce fatigue. Wind protection softens physical strain. Large luggage capacity removes travel stress, while passenger accommodations make all-day riding genuinely realistic. In the American market, premium touring motorcycles equipped with automatic technology remain widely available, though new pricing often stretches from roughly the low $20,000 range into territory far beyond that, while used examples still command meaningful prices. BMW touring machines approach endurance differently, leaning heavily into electronic comfort, highway composure, and rider customization. Heated equipment, automated shift support, suspension refinement, and intelligent rider systems combine to make enormous distances feel surprisingly approachable. Meanwhile, the Honda Africa Twin DCT introduces another idea entirely: less luxury, more freedom. Its upright riding posture, manual override function, and adaptable personality make it feel especially reassuring once smooth pavement begins giving way to uncertainty. And perhaps that reveals the greatest strength of automatic touring altogether. The motorcycle carries more of the workload, while the rider keeps the experience. But eventually, endless pavement starts feeling predictable. And that naturally pushes the search towards something else entirely: automatic adventure motorcycles. Adventure riding changes the relationship between rider and motorcycle in ways ordinary pavement rarely prepares people for. On familiar roads, mistakes often feel inconvenient. In rough terrain, they can become expensive, exhausting, or dangerous very quickly. Loose gravel shifts unexpectedly. Deep sand steals momentum. Rocky climbs demand patience. Sudden traction loss punishes hesitation. Adventure riding constantly forces riders to negotiate uncertainty, and that reality explains why automatic systems create such divided opinions among experienced riders. Some riders view automation as surrendering control. Others begin seeing it as relief. The motorcycle sitting directly in the center of that argument is the Honda Africa Twin DCT. And many skeptical riders eventually discover something surprising once fatigue begins. Building less physical workload can sometimes create better judgment. In technical terrain, riders are already balancing body position, braking, throttle control, line choice, traction awareness, and momentum management all at once. Removing clutch work reduces mental overload, allowing more focus to shift towards stability and terrain reading instead of worrying about stalling during awkward, low-speed moments. That becomes especially valuable during steep climbs or unpredictable surfaces. What makes the system especially convincing is flexibility. Manual override remains available whenever riders want more direct control, while automatic shifting quietly handles easier stretches of riding. Standing posture feels natural. throttle behavior stays manageable, and traction systems help smooth sudden surprises beneath the tires. In the American market, the Honda Africa Twin DCT remains widely available, with new pricing generally beginning around the upper teens, while used examples remain relatively strong depending on mileage and condition. BMW adventure motorcycles approach the same challenge differently, prioritizing long-distance composure, electronic assistance, luggage capability, and endurance across enormous distances. New premium adventure models often stretch well beyond $20,000 in the United States, and used pricing varies heavily depending on equipment and ownership history. Yet trade-offs remain unavoidable. As technology grows, weight and complexity quietly grow alongside it. Still, automatic adventure motorcycles reveal something deeply interesting. Sometimes confidence comes not from managing more, but from needing to manage less. And for most riders, daily life looks far less dramatic than remote wilderness, which raises a far more familiar question. What happens when automatic motorcycles face everyday traffic instead of dirt? City commuting changes how riders judge motorcycles faster than almost anything else, because traffic has a brutal way of exposing weaknesses. A motorcycle that feels exciting during a weekend ride can begin feeling exhausting after enough mornings trapped between stoplights. Abrupt throttle response becomes irritating. Heavy clutch effort starts wearing on wrists. Poor heat management becomes frustrating. Awkward, low-speed manners suddenly feel impossible to ignore. And that reality explains why automatic motorcycles become surprisingly persuasive in urban life. Not because they feel dramatic, because they feel easier. The Honda NC 750 XDCT captures that idea remarkably well. It may never overwhelm riders with aggression or raw excitement, yet daily commuting is exactly where the motorcycle quietly earns respect. Walking speed behavior feels predictable, fuel economy stays impressively efficient, and the integrated storage compartment solves a problem many riders never think about until they begin using a motorcycle every day. Eventually, commuting changes the questions riders ask. Horsepower stops dominating the conversation. Comfort begins replacing ego. Mental effort starts mattering. Scooters push that practicality even further. Twist and go. Operation removes shifting entirely. Compact dimensions, simplify parking, and step-through layouts make repeated errands feel surprisingly effortless. In the United States market, commuter scooters and automatic motorcycles remain widely available, with many new options beginning around only a few $1,000s and used examples often staying financially approachable for newer riders. Of course, compromises remain. Smaller commuters rarely feel ideal for endless interstate travel, passenger comfort varies, and high-speed wind protection often feels limited. Still, after enough mornings surrounded by congestion, priorities quietly shift. Riders begin searching for motorcycles that reduce stress instead of creating more of it. And naturally, that raises another question. If simplicity matters this much, which automatic motorcycles actually make the best first motorcycle? For many new riders, the hardest part of motorcycling has very little to do with speed. It begins with uncertainty, the fear of stalling at a stoplight, the nervousness of wobbling through a parking lot while strangers quietly watch. The quiet panic that arrives during slow turns when every mistake suddenly feels larger than it really is. For decades, clutch control SAT at the center of that anxiety. And that is exactly why automatic motorcycles feel so important for beginners. Because the moment clutch stress disappears, learning often begins feeling dramatically less intimidating. Motorcycles like the Honda Rebel 1100 DCT feel especially welcoming because they combine approachable ergonomics, predictable power delivery, and calm low-speed manners into something that encourages confidence rather than tension. Riders still experience the feeling of a real motorcycle, but without juggling shifting, clutch timing, and throttle coordination all at once. That reduction in mental pressure matters enormously. Confidence grows faster when attention shifts toward braking, awareness, balance, and traffic positioning instead of fearing embarrassing mistakes every few minutes. The Honda NC 750 XDCT offers a different kind of reassurance. Upright ergonomics improve visibility, predictable behavior, helps riders relax, and integrated storage quietly makes ownership feel practical rather than overwhelming. In the United States market, both motorcycles remain widely available, though new pricing generally begins in the low to middle teen $1,000 range, while used examples remain easier to access depending on condition and mileage. Scooters simplify learning even further. Lightweight handling, step-through layouts, and automatic operation reduce enough pressure that riding often begins feeling possible instead of frightening. And perhaps that reveals the greatest gift automatic motorcycles offer beginners. They remove fear without removing discovery, but no technology arrives without compromise. And the longer riders live with automatic systems, the more certain frustrations and limitations begin appearing beneath the convenience. Because inevitably, every ownership experience reveals realities manufacturers rarely advertise openly. Automatic motorcycles solve real problems, but they quietly introduce new compromises at the same time. And ignoring those trade-offs would make this entire conversation feel incomplete. Because the moment ownership begins, reality becomes more complicated than marketing promises. The first surprise is weight. Automatic systems, ADD hardware, electronics, and mechanical complexity that traditional motorcycles simply do not carry. Machines equipped with DCT technology often feel manageable at speed, yet their extra mass becomes much more noticeable during parking lot turns, awkward, low-speed moments, steep driveways, or unexpected situations where balance suddenly matters. Then comes cost. Automatic motorcycles sold in the American market almost always demand higher purchase prices than simpler manual alternatives, while long-term ownership sometimes creates anxiety once warranty coverage disappears. Riders begin wondering about sensors, electronics, software systems, and future repair expenses. And for longtime riders, another concern feels deeply personal: connection. For some, shifting is not just mechanical, it is emotional. No matter how refined technology becomes, certain riders still miss that involvement. Yet perhaps the bigger story is not resistance, it is momentum. Because whether riders embrace automation or resist it, motorcycle technology is changing faster than many people realize. And for years, automatic motorcycles felt like strange outsiders in a world fiercely loyal to tradition. Now they feel impossible to ignore. Not because manual motorcycles are disappearing, but because riders themselves are changing. Traffic grows more exhausting. Long rides demand greater comfort. Newer riders value accessibility, while experienced riders increasingly appreciate machines that reduce fatigue without erasing personality. Honda keeps expanding DCT technology. BMW continues refining effortless touring comfort. Scooters quietly dominate everyday practicality. And perhaps that is the bigger story. Motorcycling is no longer moving in only one direction. The future is becoming wider, more personal, and far more interesting than many riders ever expected. And if you think this transformation stops with transmissions, trust me, you have not seen what is already happening across the rest of the motorcycle industry. There's no better place to see that future unfolding than the next video on your screen. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing. And if you want to support the channel and unlock early access to upcoming videos, become a member. And don't forget to like this video.